An incredible scene revealed the story of the new season of Dragon Ball Super, and in today's video, I'm going to show it to you. So come with me because today's video is insane. Without further ado, let's go. The teaser starts with a panoramic view of Hercule City showing a sunny day, with flying cars, people walking the streets, and children playing in parks with statues of Earth's great hero. Everything seems completely ordinary, tranquil, with even a brief appearance by Hercule giving a speech in the city center, a light scene that completely misleads the viewer about the true tone of the new season. However, in a sharp cut, the camera quickly moves to a place very far from Earth, crossing the cosmos and diving straight into Zeno's palace. There, the atmosphere is completely different. The purple sky around the palace is darker than usual, and a heavy silence fills the throne room. This is where something immediately catches your attention. There is only one Zeno sitting on the throne, not two as seen before. The environment is less childish, more solemn. Then the Grand Minister appears with a grave expression and announces that several universes, including the one they are in, still have extremely low mortal levels, which could compromise cosmic order. For this reason, he proposes a tournament, but this time, instead of just punishing the weakest, there will be a single chance for redemption. A definitive tournament where the warrior's strength and evolution will be the only measure of value. The single Zeno present smiles, clapping his hands excitedly, and accepts the proposal. Soon after, the teaser cuts to Bulma's house where we see Vegeta and Bula watching television while Bulma talks to someone off camera. The camera then slowly turns, revealing an older future Trunks with a serious expression and a remodeled look, still carrying his sword on his back, although now more restrained, almost ceremonial. He is the first major character to appear prominently, and his presence answers one of the big questions that hung over the teaser: why is there only one Zeno? The answer comes in the form of a subtle line from Bulma. She says, quote, "So, you really came from your new timeline," end quote, thus revealing that this story takes place in the alternate reality where Trunks and Mai were sent after Zamasu was erased, and that is why there is only one Zeno left, the native Zeno of that timeline. The screen goes dark, and then the Dragon Ball Super logo appears while a drum beat begins and silhouettes of Universe 7's most powerful warriors quickly flash. It's a clear promise: the multiverse will tremble again, and this time survival will be earned with blood, sacrifice, and the strength of the impossible. This new season of the Dragon Ball Super anime will bring with it the long-awaited Tournament of Power 2, an event even grander and more dramatic than the first. This time, however, the stage for the battle will not be the universe of Goku, Vegeta, and the other warriors we know. The new contest will happen in an alternative timeline, exactly the one where future Trunks and Mai were taken after their original timeline was erased by Zeno at the end of the Zamasu and Goku Black Saga. Since the conclusion of that arc, many fans have wondered what happened to Trunks and Mai in this new reality. After all, although the threat of Zamasu was neutralized, both by the destruction of the evil Kaioshin and the annihilation of his existence by Zeno, loose ends and a multitude of open possibilities remained. Now, the new season answers boldly. Future Trunks is about to face the greatest challenge of his life, and he will do it without Goku, without Vegeta, without the Z fighters we know, but with a new cast of characters and an even greater threat hanging over the multiverse. Zeno's decision to erase Trunks' original timeline left deep marks on the multiverse. Although a new reality was offered to the future warrior as a refuge, Zeno's obsessive desire for absolute balance and order remains in effect. This means that universes with a low mortal level are still at risk, even if the events that provoked Zeno's wrath did not occur in the new timeline. For the small king of the universes, the outcome matters more than the cause. And if a universe does not evolve to his ideal standard, it will be eliminated, period. This reasoning, although cruel, is consistent with the internal logic of the character Zeno. Just as it was with the original Tournament of Power, the threat of erasure continues to be used as a catalyst to force the evolution of the weakest universes. And even in Trunks' new timeline, where that reality's god of destruction, Beerus, has already destroyed Zamasu before he could wreak havoc, the overall mortal level is still low, making it a potential target for Zeno. The difference now is that there is no Goku to intercede, ask for clemency, or offer diplomatic alternatives. Toei naturally would not waste one of its most popular cards. Future Trunks is a beloved character by an entire generation, both for his stylized look and his serious and determined personality. He represents resistance against inevitable destruction, and the audience connects with his journey of pain, overcoming, and hope. Therefore, instead of simply eliminating this new timeline, the creative solution was clear: a new tournament of power under new rules and with new protagonists. Even if this reality's Trunks does not have the support of Goku or Vegeta, he is a veteran of temporal wars, someone who has faced threats like the androids Cell, Goku Black, and Zamasu himself. He knows what is at stake, and more than that, feels the responsibility to protect this new universe that has welcomed him. This places him at the center of the new season, as the legitimate protagonist and likely as the leader of a new team of warriors hastily chosen to represent his universe. According to initial information, the universes involved in this new tournament will not necessarily be the same as the original tournament. The new timeline has created different ramifications and consequences, with unheard-of gods of destruction, alternate Kaioshins, and unique warriors, some of whom will be divergent versions of those we know and others completely new, created especially for this phase. This opens up a vast range of narrative and aesthetic possibilities for Toei to explore. One of the biggest speculations among fans is the possible appearance of a new Jiren, an alternative version of him or other powerful characters who, due to the temporal changes, may have taken different paths. Another name that appears with force in the forums is Gohan, who may emerge in this timeline as a different, more active and aggressive survivor. But for now, the only confirmed character is Trunks, and maybe some allies from his new Earth still unknown. Mai's role will also be fundamental. Even without relevant combat powers, she continues to be Trunks' emotional anchor, his connection to humanity and the future he fights for. It's possible that she will play a more strategic or political role in this new tournament, trying to influence the gods' decisions with her intelligence and cunning while Trunks prepares for battle. Another intriguing detail revealed in rumors is that this new tournament of power may not just be a battle between universes, but between different timelines. In other words, Zeino may be using this as a way to determine which timeline deserves to exist and which will be permanently erased. This would make the tournament even more tense, as each universe would be fighting not only for its own survival, but for the very reality it inhabits. On the technical side, Toei has already guaranteed that the animation will have a leap in quality compared to the first Dragon Ball Super. The scenarios should reflect the cosmic instability of the new timeline, and the battles will be even more dynamic and dramatic, focusing on the individual growth of the new warriors and the psychological weight of their decisions. Trunks especially should gain new transformations, evolving beyond Super Saiyan Rage. The premiere of the new season still does not have a set date, but the expectation is that it will serve as a bridge between the end of Dragon Ball Super and the most recent events of the manga involving Moro, Granola, and Black Frieza. Meanwhile, fans will have a new opportunity to follow Trunks not as a sidekick, but as the absolute hero of his own story, in a tournament where failure does not just mean losing, but disappearing from existence. What makes this new season even more promising is the possibility that the new Tournament of Power will adopt completely different rules from the previous one. In the first tournament, the victory condition was simple: eliminate all the warriors from the opposing team from the arena. Now, however, rumors indicate that Zeino and the Grand Minister are interested in something more complex and intriguing. A tournament where the very principles of time, morality, and existence are at stake. It will no longer be just a battle of brute force, it will be a complete test of character, strategy, and even ideological conviction. This creates an environment where characters like Jiren, for example, can return with greater depth. In the new timeline, it's possible that Jiren has followed an even more rigorous path, perhaps training with alternate gods of destruction or even having reached a new type of power beyond Ultra Instinct. The potential for us to see a Jiren with full mastery of Time Ki or a new divine technique is enormous, especially considering that the very concept of time is unstable in this new tournament. However, as much as Trunks is the protagonist of this new saga, he knows he will not be able to bear this weight alone. The universe where he finds himself is fragile, and the level of the local warriors is still not enough to face monsters of power from other universes. This is where the key point of the plot arises. Trunks decides to break the rules and travel back to the present of the main timeline, Goku's, to seek help from the heroes who once saved the multiverse. Even if this defies the laws of the angels and gods of destruction, he believes it is the only way to keep this new reality alive. This return of Trunks to the present will not just be an emotional reunion with old allies, it will also be a clash of realities where Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Broly, and Gohan will become aware of an even greater threat than any they have faced before. After everything they have been through, from the first Tournament of Power to Moro, Granola, and Black Frieza, each of them has evolved drastically, and the audience can't wait to see these updated versions in action again. Goku, now with greater control over Ultra Instinct, may finally demonstrate the true potential of this technique, perhaps even fusing it with his Saiyan nature to create something completely new. Vegeta, in turn, has perfected his Ultra Ego form, and the audience wants to see how this transformation behaves in a tournament where strategy and endurance also count, not just explosions of power. The two will be side by side again, but now with divine levels very different from what they had in the first tournament. Gohan, who has finally returned to action and rediscovered his fighting spirit during the Superhero Saga, will also be a central piece. With his new beast form, he represents a type of pure and fierce power that has not yet been tested in inter-universal battles. His presence in the new tournament raises several questions. Could Gohan become the new most powerful warrior in the multiverse? Or will he be Universe 7's surprise trump card, just as Frieza was in the previous tournament? And speaking of surprises, Broly will be the team's wild card. Now training with Whis and learning to control his rage, Broly is a force that has not yet been properly measured. His raw potential could put him side by side with Jiren, or even above, depending on the emotional control he has developed. The idea of seeing Broly face divine warriors, cold strategists, or cosmic monsters from another universe is something fans have been waiting for years. Piccolo, now with his Orange Piccolo transformation, brings a solid presence and a tactical sense that has always been lacking in more chaotic fights. He may not be the strongest on the team, but he will be fundamental to maintaining team cohesion, analyzing opponents' patterns, and finding solutions that don't just involve rampant brawling. Piccolo's new form shows that Namekians still have room to grow, and we may even see more news from his people in this tournament. With this new cast, the tournament gains a much greater emotional and symbolic weight. It's not just about saving a universe or a timeline, but about preserving hope, effort, and the bonds created even in distant or alternate worlds. Trunks, who has always carried the burden of fighting alone, will now be able to count on a true army of legends, each with their own reason for fighting, whether to protect the new reality, test their limits, or simply honor the fighting spirit that has always defined the Dragon Ball universe. The adversaries also promise to surprise. Rumors speak of a Supreme Warrior of Time, a being that exists between the cracks of the multiverse and does not belong to any fixed timeline, emerging as an entity that judges the gods themselves. Another possible antagonist would be a fallen angel, banished for interfering too much in the fate of a universe, and now seeks to prove his vision of balance through the controlled destruction of realities. This narrative scale practically elevates the new tournament to a kind of multiverse judgment day, where each combat represents a choice, a sacrifice, and a real consequence. No more fights just for sport. This new competition will be the biggest test ever imposed on the Dragon Ball universe, both in terms of plot and character development. For fans, this is a unique opportunity to see all the seeds planted in recent years blossom into an epic and unprecedented confrontation. From the return of Trunks to the reunion with Goku, from the rise of new warriors to the revelation of temporal entities and alternate versions of icons, everything is being prepared to make the new Tournament of Power not just a continuation, but an absolute reinvention of the concept of universal survival, and at the center of it all, future Trunks, the warrior who never had a true home, now fights to protect the only one he can still call his own. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget to like. Thank you all very much for your support, and until next time.